أعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم بمسابنا بأبي عبد الله الحسين عليه الصلاة والسلام. So we left it at this point that these things that we consider as vices are actually means of growth. But the most problematic area is what we call pride. Pride is not taking satisfaction and joy in what we do well. Pride is a state of conceit and seeing everything through oneself and making oneself the measure of everything else. That is what we mean by pride. The way I understand things, that is the best way. I am in the best way possible. What that does is, it prevents a person from evolving, from growing, from flowing. That defeats the purpose of existence. Every breath that we have, we are supposed to use those breaths to claim a greater glory of Allah. If we become stifled by becoming conceited, there is no scope of growth left anymore because we are happy, complacent in the way that we are. So immediately we defy ourselves the opportunity of growth. Where it becomes more problematic is when pride changes into arrogance very, very naturally. Now, arrogance is not only justification for what we do, but it is giving ourselves a right for what we do. Now imagine all the other vices that we might point out slowly today. Anger. We stated it's a natural state, it is good. It becomes problematic when we transgress upon others. It becomes further problematic when we justify it. It becomes more problematic when we give ourselves the right to be angry and become tyrannical and give ourselves right to be tyrannical. And it becomes a sickness when we take joy in becoming tyrannical. Now that is where pride inevitably changes a beautiful natural quality in a demonic facet within us. There are people who are unjust. They feel bad about being unjust. There are people who justify being unjust. There are people who give themselves the rights for the right to be unjust, and then people become tyrannical after that, and then they take joy in becoming tyrannical. That is where pride leads anger to. Then again, lust. Natural desires are fine, but over inclination towards that is undignified for a human person. Chastity is more befitting. Seeing to one's needs in a balanced way adds to the soul's purity, but overindulgence removes a person from the pedestal of being angelic and brings them to the levels of animality that is less than befitting for a noble human person. To justify this is then to conceal that there is something wrong. To say, I have a right to do this, that then leads to indecency, promiscuity, and it leads to pleasure in that state. This again is when pride works upon it. Envy. It's natural for us to be envious. Who doesn't feel that the other person is better than they are? Then we should be as good as them. And at times we do get this thought that I wish to God people would realize how much better I am than X, Y, and Z. Especially Maulanas. Why did you laugh? Salawat. Maulanas always have this thing that, oh Allah, give him more. See, you didn't know what I was going to say, did you? Maulanas are caught in jealousy. But jealousy is not bad, it's natural. Jealousy is that guy has something I'm missing. When it turns into envy, why does he have it? It doesn't belong to him. Then comes this destructive element within us through pride, that he doesn't deserve this, but the fact that God has given him this. Don't you see? God has given him this. There is something in there for you to understand. He doesn't deserve this. Now I want his ruination. I want to tarnish his name. To justify that and then to take pride when that poor sod is being mocked at and sworn at by everybody. That is when pride kicks in. Sloth, indifference. It is the worst quality ever. When a person is indifferent to God, indifferent to themselves, and indifferent to the tribulations of the people, I can't be bothered. If every prophet had this tendency of I can't be bothered, we would not have been so enlightened. These wonderful reformers, when they had people swearing at them and cursing at them, tarnishing their characters, and you know who I'm talking about here very, very well, right? But they did not stop. The blessed prophet, he did not stop. But if he was in a state of indifference, he would have said, yeah, do what you want to do. I can't be bothered. I'm out of here. Sloth is a sickness, but it's a natural state at the outset. There's something that needs to be addressed. You can't be indifferent to the hunger of the people, to the poverty of the people, to the way people's minds are being stolen. Look at religion today. I often say this. A man of God is against religious pluralism. Do you know what religious pluralism means? It means anybody who sincerely tends to Allah in the best way that they know, without knowing any better, Allah accepts them and gives them salvation. The Maulanas are against this. They are saying, no, Allah will put everybody in hell. Is this an attitude of godly person, or is this an attitude of somebody caught in the grips of pride and envy and jealousy of the other? In the folds of God, we find more demonic traits than outside the folds of God. At least there, they are not justified. Here, they're all justified. But indifference, I can't care less about the plight of humanity. And then to justify it, and then on top of it, to have a right for that feeling that really, I can't be bothered with them, they can go wherever they want to go. That is when it becomes problematic. Real problem. Similarly, all the other vices, they start off as natural tendencies. But when pride kicks in, we justify them, then we say we have a right towards them, and then we perpetuate them. And then we start taking pleasure in them. Think about this. A tyrant may reach a level of becoming a psychopath, taking pride in spilling the blood of another. People who gossip take pride in gossiping, and they take pleasure in gossiping. People who are envious take pleasure in actively trying to ruin another. These are symptoms that pride has overtaken. That is the problem. Pride is the mother of all evils. We stated in light of the hadith that the tool of ignorance is pride. Ignorance is deprivation. Is privation regression. It's a lack of all goodness. But it is not only the lack of goodness. If only it was the lack of goodness, we can see the opposite and try and claim that goodness. It is a state in which an individual takes pleasure in regression and justifies that regression. So pride is the most cardinal of all vices. Now the thing is that yes, we are very hopeful and we can all change. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the sealing of the heart. خَتَمَ اللَّهُ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبِهِمْ. And this is something to be taken very seriously. Allah says to the Prophet, سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it is all the same whether you warn them or not, they will not revert. They will not change. It has not only become a trait inside them, it has become a point of pleasure for them. Their disbelief, their regression, their aggression, their perversion is a state in which they take utmost joy. And that is why Allah says, Allah does not command you to that which is indecent and that which is reprehensible. You are saying that God commands you to do all these things that you're doing in the name of God. How can God command you to do this? Inna Allah ya'maru bil adli wal ihsan. He's saying be just, be more than just do good. Wa yanha anil fahsha'i wal munkar. And He reprimands you from doing that which is indecent, below your dignity, and that which is reprehensible. But when people say, no, God has ordained this, that is the level that becomes the most problematic level ever. Although I do not say that that is a perpetual state within the soul, inevitably it seems Allah will clean that off as well. Inevitably He will. But the fact is that the sealing of the heart is a condition that the Prophet cannot remedy. If it is remedied in the pits of hell, when it is burnt off gradually, then that's when Allah does His work. But the Prophet is told, you can't do anything about this. This is what pride does. Pride brings about a state of right, and then it brings about a state of joy in what we are doing. So the mother of all evils, pride, needs to be addressed. How do we address pride? Inshallah, nobody's hearts are sealed. Nobody's. But I will tell you this much. A Maulana and a layman, they face the same challenge. Just because somebody has come from the Hausa does not mean they are not faced with the same challenge. These are known as human challenges. A person who is in business, a person who is in politics, or a person who is a Maulana sitting on the biggest thrones of the Maulanas, they are all faced with the same challenge. And the proof of that is the one who taught Tawheed to the angels in an instance becomes the greatest demon. Think about it. It's the makr of Allah that the Quran talks about. And who feels safe from the plans of God save the most deviant? I often say to the ulama, you are misinterpreting this particular verse, and I don't say this out of arrogance, because always they will qualify that Allah cannot misguide me unless I'm evil from within. That's what the Quran says, that Allah does not misguide those save the corrupt of the heart. And that brings in pride. Because I'm not bad inside there, Allah will never misguide me. It's a different way of conceit. Can you not see this? But look at the master of the Muwahideen, Ali ibn Abi Talib salamullah alayhi. There could have not been a person that humanity can produce before him or after him, save his noble brother, the blessed Prophet of Islam, but nobody else in the folds of humanity equals this man. He waits till the blade penetrates within his head before pronouncing Fustu wa Rabbil Kaaba. He does not pronounce these words before the blade hits him. You know why? Because he was fearful, oh Lord, do not make me slip. If he can show such humility, then is there any saint or alim who can compare himself with the Sayyid al-Muwahideen? This is nothing but conceit and pride in the hearts of the people who think they are steeped in the learning of God. They should look at Iblis. He was far greater than all of us put together. In an instance, he becomes the lord of the demons. So pride is the biggest sickness. It's that most regressive trend ever. Now, how do we address this? If a person can grab hold of themselves and say to themselves, awaken, 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 awaken. You will die. You with your glory, with whatever pomp you have. The people only respect you because you have money. As soon as this money goes, they will be not even worth. You won't be worth looking at. It's your money that they respect. People respect you, it's only because of this position. Tomorrow, when you're no longer the prime minister, nobody will care about you. You have nothing within you for people to care about. Get hold of yourself. Your pride is based on arbitrary things, superficial things. They are nothing. And if you are a believer and you truly say that I believe in God, then there is no scope for pride. I'll tell you why. Look at those who have died before you. They were greater than you. Do you even know today, after a year, who they were? Do you even remember their names? I sit here before you today. Once I am gone, how many will remember me? How many will even mention my name? Within a few months, I'm gone, wiped out. This is the truth about me. You are so conceited. Go and open the grave of one who went before you. Look how much of him has remained there. Go and see. What do you have to take pride in? You are deluded. Wake up. And you know what harm you're doing? You are drifting away. Every instance is going to act against you, not for you when you die. Every instance will be a debt on your head for which you will have to reply to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The boastful and those who followed them in the world argue in the pits of hell. The simpletons will say, had it not been because of you, we would not have been here. The boastful will say, did we ask you to follow us? Did we ask you to follow us? Then the boastful will say, oh Lord, and then those who misguided us, put them beneath our feet so we can trample upon their heads. This is what they say in hell. Even in hell, they haven't lost their pride. They are burning, but the inner rage is greater than the outer inferno that surrounds them. Allah, put their heads beneath our feet so we can trample upon them. That's the arrogance that they have. Look at them. Look at this pitiful state. If a person is caught in the web of pride and arrogance, they should really cry and feel sorry for themselves. And that includes the one who talks with you and everyone else. We should be sympathetic to ourselves. If only we knew what is happening to us. Look at a person who is boastful. As soon as the crushing pain comes upon their chest, like little babies they cry. Where's your pride now? You, the one who is so proud, so arrogant, rejoicing in terrorizing people. What now? Now like a little baby you cry. Is this what you're all about? Take pity on yourself. This is the shameful state that you're in. So a proud person needs to be awoken with the severest of reprimand. Do you know why? Because otherwise a proud person will not wake up. An arrogant person doesn't wake up until there's such a huge slap on that person's face. Slap of reality. That wake up. You're not going to change the earth. Luqman says to his son, do not stamp upon the earth as if it's going to crack beneath you. Do not hold your head so high. You will not reach the lofty mountains. Do not shout. The worst sound is the braying of a donkey. So pride is the biggest evil. If that can be checked, if we can just humble ourselves slightly. Shimr sits on the chest of Hussein ibn Ali, or puts his knee. Hussein Salamullah alayhi says, do you know upon whose chest you ascend? Upon the chest of the best of man in his mothers and fathers. Shimr said, even then I shall put you to death. This is what pride does. If pride can be arrested, if what can be arrested, everything else can be regulated beautifully. It can beautifully regulate it if this thing can be arrested. Now we said that actually what we need to do is we need to awaken and we need to see what is happening. We need to understand that this life is being chipped away bit by bit by bit. Our time is running out. I gave this example a few days ago. Odd is the story of the son of Adam. He is sure of the burdens of sins he carries upon his shoulders. He is sure that he cannot answer for them. He is reluctant to make amends and reformations. And he is unsure if he will awaken tomorrow. Can you imagine this baffling state? I am sure I'll stand before God. I'm sure I can't answer. I am sure I've got these burdens, and I'm not sure if I will live to breathe the next breath. And still I continue in my blind ways. We need to remind ourselves of all of this in order for us to awaken from within. Now, one of the things is that we must not lose hope in ourselves. Because sometimes the thing that actually shaitan does, the inner shaitan, is that it makes the problem an unsurmountable problem. I've got so many problems, I can't do anything about it. You have condemned yourself when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving you an opportunity. It's like a person who picks up a book. The book is so thick, I can't possibly read all of this. If you start reading the first page, you don't know how easy it will be for you to finish the whole book. All you have to do is to take heart and start. Don't overanalyze, don't overcomplicate things. Just start. So a person who is boastful, they need to be able to sit with another, and when the other says something, as hard as it is, to hold their tongue and to say, you know what, brother, you are right. I will think about this. As opposed to the impulsive reaction, you don't know what you're talking about. When somebody shouts at them, for them just to hold fire, just to hold fire. And to say, I'm sorry if I've offended you. When they are so great in their glory, for them to wear clothes that are not as prestigious. The Blessed Prophet said, he said, I will never stop sitting upon a mule, nor milking the goat, nor sitting on the earth eating with the children. Because this reminds me of my state of humility. Least I become conceited from within. So if a person wants to rectify their pride, to do all those things that they consider to be below their prestige and pride, not below their dignity, but below their false pride. Now look at anger. When we minus pride from it, when a person gets angry, in that moment, the amount of damage that they do, they take joy in hurting the other, don't they, when people are angry? They actually take joy. The hadith says, anger is insanity. The moment of anger is insanity. If a person is angry, stay away from that person. It's like a fire that is inside a cave. And it's letting out flames from the mouth of the cave. Whatever you say at that point will become the fuel for the fire. The Prophet said to Imam Ali, when you are told, ittaqillah, fear God, step back, keep quiet, sit down. No matter what has been said after that, just stay calm. But Allah says in the Quran, إِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ اتَّقِ اللَّهِ أَخَذَتْهُمْ عِزَّةً بِالْإِثْمِ. That when it is said to them, fear God, at that point their pride overtakes. What do you mean fear God? You should be fearing God. Pride overtakes them and it leads them into further sin. فَحَسْبُهُمْ جَهَنَّمْ. Hell is their abode, that they don't have reverence for the name of Allah. Now when we get angry, look at the damage that we do. If now we can understand that this is a problem that I have, but if I can control it, it opens the door towards my angelic self. It can polish the diamond, and I can arrive at a glorious state. Then in that case, a person will see what causes this anger. But if pride is not there, then it's fine. When a person is greedy, instead of taking pleasure in greed, to assess it and to say, look, Allah has destined, I'm a believer, Allah has destined. The hadith says risk is of two types, the one that you chase after and the one who chases you. The one you run after will not come to you, the one that runs after you will get to you. The Blessed Prophet said that the Ruhul Quds has breathed in my soul and told me that you all have portions allocated to you. As soon as your last morsel comes into your mouth, O Muhammad, you will die. Once your sustenance is over, it's time for you to go. A person in the pangs of greed, minus the pride, can reform themselves to say, actually, being greedy is distrusting God. What is the need for this greed? Think about it, what Imam Ali said to Imam Hassan. He said, "Oh Hassan, know full well that you cannot carry the burdens that you are carrying on your shoulders. You will drag them on the day of Qiyamah and then you will not be able to account for them." He said, instead, why don't you give your burdens away to others? They will carry them for you and they will wait as rewards for you on the day of Qiyamah. You can't eat more than one meal. Why are you hoarding for 10 meals? Give them away. The 9 meals that you're hoarding will wait for you on the day of Qiyamah as a reward, as opposed to taking these 10 meals, eating one, dying, and responding to God for the 9 that you've wasted. When we minus pride, clarity comes. On that note, my dear friend Dr. Naushad has asked me to thank us all from the team from the Clifton Road Food Bank. Would like to thank all of you for your generosity and valuable support. And I think it's a most befitting note to say that actually we need to do this and support the cause that Dr. Saab is promoting. And it's a merit for us, and then thank Allah for allowing us to do this. If a person who is caught up in lust, if they can only understand that they are losing their own value within their own soul, they've left the state of dignity, and that purity of chastity that is found within the angelic realms is no longer found within their souls. If a person caught in these vices can minus pride and humble themselves and say to themselves, rather than me shedding tears upon the people of the world, I need to shed tears upon myself. How odd are angry people. They are scared of the world and they terrorize their subordinates. Isn't that normally the case? As my sister said to me, she said people, I don't know who she was talking about at that point, by the way. He says there are mouse outside and lions inside their houses. It's just an Urdu saying, right? There are mice outside and lions inside because they terrorize people inside the house. And they are like little babies outside. If we can minus pride, we will see that the people who are caught up in vice are the people in need of most sympathy. Once we can arrive at this point, then we can help those outside us. Like Munna Bhai used to go and hug everybody, remember? Do you remember Munna Bhai's movie? I tried it with Maulana as the band me. Salawat. I would hug every Maulana. I said, you need some sympathy. He said, yeah, I know what you need. And I'll try again next time round. But once we can start reforming ourselves, then we can spread this goodness and create that beauty that is befitting humanity at large. Now look at the Blessed Prophet and the Imams. People would swear at them and curse at them. But in their hour of need, when they would come to the Blessed Prophet would always oblige. But not in a way that that person feels embarrassed, without making the person feel embarrassment. Once somebody came and he started swearing and cursing at Imam Ali. Imam Ali just remained calm. Imam Ali did not get angry but felt sympathetic towards that person. He said he is in need of care. Once his anger had diffused, then Imam went and calmly soothed him with his words. He went as an enemy, left as a friend. The woman who used to throw her trash upon the Blessed Prophet, when she was unwell, the Prophet did not go because he was politically astute and a clever man in that way. He went because the innocence of his soul drove him to her. He felt so much sympathy for her. She said, Muhammad, now you've come to seek revenge? He said, no. I come genuinely to ask about your well-being. And in an instance, she is reformed. So if we can minus pride from everything else that we have, everything can settle through humility. If pride takes hold of us, whether we call ourselves the laity, the professional, the ulama, the whatever we call ourselves, saints, that is the destruction. Minus the pride. Imam Zainul Abidin Salamullah alayhi was sitting with somebody and he said to Imam, he said, what is your name? He said, I am Ali ibn al-Hussein. We killed Ali ibn Hussein. How can you be Ali ibn Hussein? Now this is the killer of Imam's brother. He said, that was my brother Ali al-Akbar. I'm the other one. So calmly. Look at that. And this is a time when the Imam could have done anything he wanted to this man. We come to the narration of our most beloved. There are two narrations that I wish to briefly narrate. One is Jabir coming to the grave of Imam Hussein. He comes to the grave of Imam Hussein and he says, Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. They said, but you do not reply, O friend. But how can you reply when your head has been taken away from your body and paraded within streets and within towns? From afar, Jabir senses that a caravan is coming. He says to Atiyah, Atiyah, rush. If it be the people of Bani Umayyah, tell me quickly. If it be the son of Hussein, then I free you in the way of Allah. Atiyah rushes. He finds Imam Zainul Abidin. He says, Atiyah, tell Jabir to remove himself from the grave of my father. Why? Because I do not want him to witness my auntie crying and lamenting over her Hussein. Zainab comes. She falls upon the grave of Hussein, laments to no end. Alas, oh brother, your sister has come back, but empty-handed. The one you gave to me in my custody, I have left in the ruins of Sham. They advance towards Medina. From afar, Bibi Kulthum sees the walls of Medina. Inadvertently, she cries and says, Ya Medina tu Jaddina. O Medina of our grandfather, La taqbalina. Do not welcome us, or do not welcome us. We left you with Hussein and Abbas and Akbar. We come back empty-handed without a protector or guide. Even our children have been taken away. There is a cry in Medina. It is the day of Jumu'ah. Ya Ahla Yathraba, O people of Yathrab, La muqama lakum biha. There is no place left for you in Yathrib anymore. Hussein has been killed and his son arrives. The Zakirin tell us, there is an old woman who comes. Silence, O Bashir, for you are indeed saying untruth. Maid of God, I speak the truth. How can Hussein be killed? Where was my Abbas? Your Abbas was killed. Who can kill Abbas? His arms were cut with treachery before an iron mace was struck upon his head and cut into pieces. Then how did he arrive upon the dust of Karbala? The response is, if only you had seen Zainab. How she arrives upon the body of her brother with her hands tied to her neck. Zainab calmly walks in. She comes to the shrine of her grandfather, to the grave of her grandfather. But her gazes are lowered. She does not look at the grave. I say, oh Zainab, why do you feel such embarrassment? She does not speak. She comes to the grave of her grandfather and she says, oh grandfather, I offer you condolences on the death of your Hussein. And then she leaves. She comes to the grave of her mother. She says, oh mother, how may I say to you what they did to me? How they paraded the head of your son from street to street. Oh mother, shall I show you how my back was blackened with the whip? Or shall I show you my hands, how they were tied by the rope? She cries at length. Then she extracts a garment that is torn in every place and covered in blood. Oh mother, I bring back your amana to you. And as she places the garment of Hussein upon the grave of Fatima, the grave begins to tremble. ألا لعنة الله للقوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون.